The twin suns of Zithra burned hot over the grand arena. Tens of thousands of alien spectators filled the towering stone stands, their voices rising in a strange rhythm, a chant that echoed like thunder through the air. In the center of the vast arena floor stood a single human, Commander Ryan Cole, his body tense, eyes narrowed against the glare. He wasn't supposed to be here. Not on this planet. Not in this war. And certainly not fighting for the hand of an alien princess he barely knew. But fate had a cruel sense of humor. Across from him stood Princess Illyra of the Thalkai Dominion, tall, regal, and radiant. Her emerald skin shimmered like sunlight on jade, her long white hair flowing like silk down her back. The golden armor she wore gleamed with ceremonial detail, but her sharp eyes showed nothing but amusement. "Human," she said, her voice calm but filled with arrogance. "You cannot possibly win. My champion will crush you before the third strike." Ryan tightened his grip on his blade. Around them, the crowd roared louder. Alien drums began to pound, deep, echoing beats that shook the sand beneath his boots. Illyra raised her hand and smiled, the kind of smile that carried both danger and beauty. "If you somehow win," she said, almost mockingly, "I will be your wife forever, but that will never happen." The crowd erupted in laughter. Even her royal guard smirked behind their visors. Ryan said nothing. He just stared at her, the alien princess who had become a symbol of everything he despised and yet couldn't look away from. The battle horn blared. A massive gate at the far end of the arena opened, and out stepped her champion, a towering Thalkai warrior clad in dark armor, his body rippling with alien muscle. He carried a plasma halberd nearly twice Ryan's height. The ground seemed to quake beneath his every step. "His name is Varkor," Illyra said proudly. "No human has ever lasted more than a minute against him." Ryan didn't reply. He had fought monsters before. On Earth, in the colonies, across half the known galaxy. This was just another battlefield. And he wasn't ready to die yet. The crowd hushed as the champion raised his weapon. Then came the first strike, a blinding swing that split the air. Ryan dodged barely. The sand exploded beside him. He rolled, kicked off the ground, and countered with a quick strike to the alien's armor. Sparks flew, but no damage. Varkor laughed, a deep rumble that echoed through the arena. "Weak, just like your species." Ryan breathed hard, his heart pounding. He couldn't overpower this monster. He had to outthink him. The next blow came faster. He ducked again, this time slashing at the champion's legs. The blade hit a joint, a weak point, and drew dark, glowing blood. The alien roared, enraged. From the royal balcony, Illyra's smile faltered. The human had actually hurt her champion. The battle raged for minutes that felt like hours. Sweat mixed with sand on Ryan's skin. His uniform was torn, his arm bleeding, but he stayed on his feet. Varkor charged, swinging wildly, but the human soldier was faster. He sidestepped, used the alien's momentum against him, and drove his blade upward, right into the exposed gap in the armor beneath the ribs. The crowd gasped. The massive warrior staggered, choking. Then, with one final groan, he fell face first into the dust. Silence. Then the arena erupted into chaos. Ryan stood over the fallen champion, chest heaving, his blade coated in dark blood. He looked up, straight at Princess Illyra. Her expression was unreadable: shock, anger, disbelief, and something else. Respect? She rose from her seat slowly. The guards moved in, unsure what to do. The crowd shouted in confusion. Ryan took a step forward, his voice steady despite exhaustion. "Your words, princess. You said if I win." Her golden eyes met his. The fire that once burned with arrogance now flickered with uncertainty. For the first time, Princess Illyra, heir to the most powerful alien empire in the sector, had no clever remark. After a long pause, she spoke quietly, but everyone heard it. "I did say that." The crowd went wild again, this time with disbelief and excitement. Ryan lowered his sword, still catching his breath. He had come here as a prisoner, a stranger on an alien world. Now he stood as a man who had done the impossible, defeated a Thalkai champion, and won the hand of their princess. But deep down, he knew this was far from over, because in her eyes, he could see the truth. She would never let this go easily, and the war between their hearts had only just begun. The arena still trembled with the echoes of shouting voices. Every alien eye was locked on the human who had done the impossible. Ryan Cole stood beneath the twin suns, chest rising and falling, his hand still gripping the sword that had felled the Thalkai champion. High above, Princess Illyra of the Dominion remained silent. Her beautiful green face was calm, but inside, her thoughts burned with confusion. A human defeated Varkor? It shouldn't have been possible. The Thalkai were born for battle. Stronger, faster, trained from childhood to fight. And yet, the man before her had stood alone and won. The royal advisors whispered nervously around her. One of them leaned close, his metallic voice hushed. "Your Highness, this is a disgrace. We can void the match on technical grounds. Say the human cheated." Illyra raised her hand sharply. "No," her voice cut through the noise. "I made a vow before the Dominion and the gods. If I break it, I am nothing." The advisor stepped back at once. No one dared question the princess. She looked down at Ryan again. The suns caught his dark hair and the lines of his face, covered in dust and blood. He didn't look proud. He didn't even look triumphant. He looked human, tired, alert, and ready for anything. When the horn sounded again, she rose from her throne and descended the steps, her guards following at a respectful distance. The crowd went silent as she approached him across the sand. Ryan straightened, still breathing hard. He had no idea what she would do. Order him executed, maybe, or pretend the match never happened. But then, before the watching crowd, Illyra stopped only a few feet away. "The laws of the Thalkai are clear," she said, her voice echoing through the arena. "Victory in the trial of the sword cannot be denied. Commander Ryan Cole, by right of combat, you have earned my hand." A low gasp rippled through the stands. Even the guards looked uncertain. Ryan blinked, surprised that she'd actually said it. He had half expected her to deny it, but she stood firm, her chin raised proudly. She turned to the crowd. This human fought with courage. He fought with honor. His victory will be recognized. Let it be known that Illyra of the Thalkai honors her word. The audience exploded in cheers and confusion. Some shouted praise, others yelled in anger, but none dared defy the princess. She turned back to Ryan, her eyes, golden, fierce, locked onto his. "Follow me," she said quietly. He did. They left the arena through the royal corridor, guarded by soldiers in silver armor. The air inside was cool and filled with strange glowing plants that pulsed softly with light. Neither spoke for a while. Finally, Ryan broke the silence. "So, you're really going through with this?" Illyra didn't look at him. "Do you think the word of a princess is a joke, human?" "I think you didn't expect to lose," he said simply. Her jaw tightened. "No," she admitted. "I did not." They entered the royal chamber, a massive hall made of dark crystal and gold. The walls shimmered like living light. In the center stood a throne carved from black stone, surrounded by floating holographic banners. Illyra stopped and faced him. "Understand this," she said coldly. "I will honor my word, but do not mistake this for affection. I am not your prize. You are still a stranger in my world, and my people will not accept you easily." Ryan crossed his arms. Didn't ask for affection, just honesty. That seemed to catch her off guard. She blinked, studying him carefully. He wasn't gloating. He wasn't arrogant. He was calm, grounded, very unlike the warriors of her race who fought for glory and power. For a brief moment, something flickered in her chest. Curiosity, maybe, before she could respond. The chamber doors opened again, and an older alien woman entered, draped in white robes, her face marked with silver tattoos. "Princess," she said gently, bowing, "the ceremony must be held before sunset. The people are restless. They need to see your promise fulfilled." Illyra hesitated for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Prepare the Hall of Union." Ryan frowned. "The what now?" The woman smiled kindly at him. "The sacred hall where two souls are bound by oath before the Dominion." Ryan sighed softly. Guess there's no turning back then. Aelira looked at him again. You could have asked for gold or freedom, but you chose this. He shook his head. No, princess. I didn't choose you. You made the promise. I just reminded you of it. Her lips curved slightly, not in mockery this time, but in quiet respect. Then may the gods help us both, she said. As the suns began to set, the Hall of Union blazed with light. Thousands of glowing crystals illuminated the space. The ceremony began. Ancient chants filled the air as Ryan stood beside the alien princess. When their hands touched for the oath, he felt a strange warmth spread through his arm, like energy flowing between them. She felt it too. Her golden eyes widened just slightly. Something unseen passed between them, a spark that neither understood. And as the final vow was spoken, Aelira realized with an uneasy heart that destiny had just changed forever. The night after the ceremony was long and restless for both of them. Ryan couldn't sleep. He lay on the wide, alien-made bed, staring at the shimmering ceiling that looked like a living sky. Soft blue lights rippled across it like waves. The air smelled faintly of strange flowers. He still couldn't believe what had happened. Hours ago, he had fought for his life in the arena. Now he was married to an alien princess, no less. He ran a hand through his hair and sighed. "What have you gotten yourself into, Ryan?" he muttered. Across the palace, Princess Aelira was having her own sleepless night. She sat before a mirror of molten silver, watching her reflection shift and change with the glowing light. Her golden eyes were unreadable, but her heart was full of storm. A human, her people's oldest warning, their whispered fear, had always been about humans. Fragile, unpredictable, dangerous in ways no weapon could predict. And yet, this human had done what no Thalkai warrior ever had, defeated Varkor, the undefeatable champion. She thought of the moment during the ceremony when she had touched his hand, the warmth that had rushed through her, real, steady calm, not dominance, not arrogance, something else, something different. She hated how it made her feel. Morning came bright and clear. Twin suns rose over the city of Kartes, turning its crystal towers of gold. From her balcony, Aelira watched the first light touch the streets below. Thousands of her people were gathered, chanting her name. But their cheers were not for celebration. They were for confirmation. The princess who had mocked the human had now become bound to him. Some saw it as a sign of weakness. Others whispered it was destiny. When Ryan appeared beside her on the balcony, wearing a ceremonial robe provided by the palace, the crowd grew louder. Some hissed, some threw petals. Others stared in disbelief. Aelira didn't flinch. She raised her hand, her voice clear and strong. "People of the Dominion, your princess stands by her word." The human fought with honor. His courage is a mark of strength, not shame. The gods will judge this union, not fear, not rumor. Her voice echoed over the city. The crowd grew silent, unsure how to react. Ryan looked at her, impressed despite himself. "You've got guts, princess." She gave him a quick glance. "I do not require your approval." He smirked. "Didn't say you did. Just giving credit where it's due." Her golden eyes flashed with annoyance, but also a flicker of something else. Respect. Later that day, they walked together through the palace gardens, an enormous area filled with glowing trees, streams of liquid light and flowers that floated in midair. 2 guards followed at a distance, watching silently. Ryan noticed how everyone bowed to Aelira as she passed. Even the plants seemed to lean toward her presence. "So, this is your kingdom," he said quietly. "Beautiful place." Aelira didn't look at him. "It is not mine alone. It belongs to the Dominion." He tilted his head. "You sound like someone who doesn't believe that." That made her stop. For a moment, the confident princess looked uncertain. Then she said softly, "You do not understand my world, human. Power here is never truly yours. It is borrowed, and it can be taken away in an instant." Ryan looked at her, thoughtful. That sounded a lot like home. She turned toward him, her expression softening despite herself. "Your world, Earth. You miss it every day," he said. "But I've learned to survive wherever I end up. That for some reason, made her chest tighten. Their walk ended at the training yard, a vast open space where Thalkai soldiers practiced with bladed staffs and plasma spears. When they saw Ryan, they stopped and stared. Some laughed quietly. Alira noticed their smirks and felt a strange irritation rise in her. Ryan didn't seem to mind. Guess they're not used to humans. They are not used to weakness, she replied. He grinned. Then maybe I should remind them what weakness can do. Before she could stop him, Ryan walked into the training circle. A group of young warriors watched in disbelief as he picked up one of their practice blades, a weapon almost as tall as he was. "Who's first?" he said calmly. A tall soldier stepped forward, smirking. "You? You'll last one breath." Seconds later, Ryan ducked under the alien's swing, used his speed to step behind him, and locked the warrior's arm in a perfect hold. The alien gasped in shock before being flipped to the ground. The crowd went silent. Alira felt something she hadn't expected: pride. When Ryan stepped out of the circle, sweaty and smiling, he simply said, "Guess I'm not as weak as I look." Alira hid her smile, turning away before he could see it. "Perhaps not," she said quietly, "but don't let it go to your head." That night, as stars filled the alien sky, Alira found herself unable to stop thinking about him. The human who wasn't afraid. The human who treated her not as a goddess or a monster, but as an equal. And though she would never admit it aloud, for the first time, Princess Alira wondered if fate had made a mistake, or if it had known exactly what was doing. The days that followed were full of quiet tension. Ryan had earned the attention of the entire Dominion, and not all of it was good. Some admired his courage and skill. Others whispered that he was a threat. A few even demanded his removal from the royal palace. But Princess Alira refused. "He fought with honor," she said firmly during the council meeting. "He is under my protection." The alien counselors looked uneasy. Their shimmering robes shifted colors with their emotions: blue for fear, crimson for anger. One of them, Lord Kareth, leaned forward. "Your Highness, a human in our palace is like a spark near oil. It will bring fire. You risk everything for one outsider." Alira met his cold stare. "Then perhaps our Dominion needs to remember what fire can teach us." Ryan, standing silently beside her, said nothing, but inside, he felt a flicker of respect for the princess deepen into something stronger. That night, as the twin moons rose high, Ryan wandered the palace corridors. He had been given a chamber filled with alien comforts, a glowing bed, food that tasted like honey and metal, clothes made of silk that shifted colors with his movement. And yet, he couldn't sleep. He found himself walking toward the balcony overlooking the capital. The view was breathtaking: towers like crystal mountains, floating bridges, and streams of light flowing like rivers through the city. "Can't sleep either?" The voice startled him. Alira stood nearby, wearing a simple silver gown that shimmered in the moonlight. Without her crown and armor, she looked almost human. Ryan smiled softly. "Guess my mind's still trying to catch up to all this. Your world's something else." Alira stepped beside him. "It is beautiful, yes, but beauty often hides danger. You have already seen that." He nodded. "Yeah, your people aren't exactly fans of humans." Alira looked away, her golden eyes troubled. "They fear you. Your kind once came here centuries ago, not as visitors, but as conquerors. The scars remain." Ryan was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I'm not them." Her gaze met his, sharp, searching and uncertain. "I know," she whispered. "That is what frightens me most." The next morning, the palace trembled. Sirens wailed through the city. Guards ran to the corridors shouting, "Attack! The rebels are here." Ryan grabbed his jacket and rushed toward the commotion. When he reached the outer walls, he saw it: dozens of alien ships hovering over the city, firing streaks of plasma into the air. The Dominion was under siege. Alira appeared beside him in full battle armor, her long hair tied back, her golden staff glowing with energy. "They are from the outer clans," she said quickly. "They want to overthrow the royal line." Ryan looked at the chaos below. "Then let's make sure they don't." She gave him a surprised glance. "You would fight for us?" He grinned. "Hey, you married me, remember? I'm kind of stuck with you now. For the first time, Elira actually laughed. A small, genuine sound that vanished as quickly as it came. Then fight? Well, human. The battle was chaos. Explosions shook the ground. Alien soldiers clashed in the streets, their energy weapons lighting the air in green and gold flashes. Ryan picked up a fallen blaster and covered Elira as she charged forward, leading her troops with fierce precision. At one point, an alien warrior leapt at her from above, but before he could strike, Ryan tackled him midair, slamming the enemy to the ground. Elira spun and struck the attacker down with her staff, her golden eyes blazing. "Why did you do that?" she demanded. Ryan shrugged. "You're my wife, remember?" She stared at him, speechless, torn between anger and something far more complicated. Hours later, after the fighting ended, the palace lay scarred but standing. Smoke rose from the lower districts. The rebels had been driven off, but not before leaving their mark. Elira stood on the balcony again, her armor scorched, her expression unreadable. Ryan limped up beside her, blood on his sleeve. "You should rest," she said quietly. He chuckled. "You sound like you care." Her voice was cold, but her eyes softened. "You are foolish. Brave, but foolish." "Yeah," he said. "Guess it runs in the family now." For a moment, neither spoke. The wind carried the scent of burnt metal and flowers through the air. Then Elira said something she never thought she would say to a human. "Thank you, Ryan." He smiled. "Any time, princess." But as peace returned to the city, a shadow lingered in the distance. In the depths of space, far beyond the Dominion's border, a massive alien warship drifted silently, its captain watching a hologram of the battle on Thalkai. The figure leaned forward, eyes glowing red. "So, the human survived," he hissed. "And now," he stand beside the royal heir, his lips curled into a cruel smile. "Then the real war begins." The city was slowly rebuilding after battle. Smoke still drifted through the distant valleys, and the sound of machinery echoed across the skyline. But inside the palace, the air felt different. Quieter, heavier, filled with something unspoken. Ryan had been moved to a new chamber close to the royal wing. He didn't ask why, but he noticed that guards no longer looked at him as an intruder. Some even nodded in respect when he passed. He'd proven himself in battle. That meant something, even here. Still, he could sense that something was brewing, not just outside the walls, but inside them too. Late one night, Ryan was summoned by the queen herself. Elira's mother, a tall, graceful woman with pale skin that shimmered like moonlight and eyes as sharp as blades. When Ryan entered the grand throne room, she didn't smile. "Human," she said calmly, "you saved my daughter's life twice now. The Dominion owes you a debt." Ryan nodded respectfully. "I didn't do it for reward." "I know," she said. "That is why I am speaking to you privately." She stepped closer. "You must leave this planet." Ryan blinked. "What?" "Your presence brings danger," the queen continued. "The outer clans already see you as a sign, a symbol of weakness in our bloodline. And there are others here who would rather kill you than accept you." Ryan took a step forward. "With all due respect, Your Majesty, I can handle myself." "You misunderstand," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "It is not your strength I doubt. It is Elira's heart." Ryan froze. "She has grown attached to you," the queen said, "and that attachment will destroy her. A princess cannot afford such distractions. Not from human." Before Ryan could answer, the heavy doors opened. Elira stood there, her expression dark. "Mother, enough?" The queen's gaze hardened. "We will speak later." She turned and left the hall, leaving the two of them alone in the vast silence. Ryan sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "Seems like your mother's not exactly my biggest fan." Elira crossed her arms, trying to sound annoyed but failing to hide her frustration. "She fears change. She always has." "You mean she fears humans?" Ryan said. Elira didn't answer. She just looked at him for a long time, as if searching for something. Then softly, she said, "Would you really leave if she ordered it?" Ryan hesitated. "If you told me to, maybe." Her eyes widened slightly. "You would listen to me?" He shrugged. You're my wife, remember? That made her laugh, but it wasn't her usual mocking laugh. It was real, warm, and brief. Still clinging to that old joke, she said, "You humans are strange." "Yeah," he said quietly, strange enough to care. For a moment, the air between them felt charged, a connection neither could explain nor deny. But before anything else could be said, the palace alarm blared again. "Report." Alira shouted as soldiers rushed into the command hall. A holographic map flickered to life. Red dots appeared across the outer borders. "It's not the rebels," one of the generals said. "This is something else. Something massive." Ryan frowned. "What kind of something else?" "Unknown ships," the general replied. "Not from any of the known clans." They refused to answer communication attempts. Alira stared at the display. "How many?" "Dozens, maybe hundreds. They're heading straight for Thalkai." The queen entered the room, her calm demeanor gone. "Evacuate the lower sectors," she commanded. "Prepare all defenses." Ryan's instincts kicked in. "Let me help. I've trained for tactical warfare." The queen cut him off sharply. "This is not your fight." Alira turned to her mother. "Yes, it is. He's part of this now." The queen's eyes burned with silent fury, but she said nothing. She only nodded once and walked away. Hours later, the alien fleet appeared in the sky, enormous ships shaped like blades, moving silently through the clouds. A low hum filled the air as they began to descend. From the main vessel, a projection appeared over the capital. A massive face, half covered in black metal. "Citizens of the Dominion," the deep voice thundered, "you harbor a human among you, hand him over or face destruction." Alira looked at Ryan in shock. "They want you." Ryan stared at the sky. "Why? Who are they?" The voice continued. "He carries something that belongs to us, something hidden within his blood." A cold chill ran through Ryan's body. "What are they talking about?" Alira turned to him. "Ryan, is this true?" "I don't know," he said honestly. "I'm just me." The queen reappeared. "They lie. They want an excuse to attack." But as she spoke, one of the alien ships fired a beam of energy into the atmosphere. The sky split open, and fire rained down on the city. The invasion had begun. Alira grabbed Ryan's arm. "We have to go, now." As they ran through the burning corridors, Ryan looked back at the sky filled with falling debris. The words of the alien leader echoed in his mind. Something hidden within his blood. What did that mean? And why did he feel, deep down, that it might be true? The palace shook as another explosion lit up the sky. Outside, the once beautiful capital of Thalkai burned under a storm of fire. Alien ships hovered above the towers, firing beams of white energy that cracked the surface of the planet. Ryan and Alira ran through the smoke-filled corridors, the sound of falling metal echoing behind them. He could barely breathe, but his mind kept repeating the same words. Something hidden within his blood. Alira gripped his hand tightly. "This way. The emergency tunnels lead to the Undercity." Ryan followed, stumbling over debris. Tried to keep up with her glowing armor and determined eyes. "Who are these guys?" "They knew about me, about my blood." "They call themselves the Vorn," Alira said. "Ancient raiders. We thought they were extinct." "Guess not," Ryan muttered. The tunnels were dark and narrow, filled with flickering lights. A few soldiers were already there, guiding civilians to safety. Alira stopped at a sealed metal door. She placed her palm on it, and a blue light scanned her hand. The door opened, revealing a small command shelter. "Inside," she ordered. Ryan hesitated. "You're coming too, right?" "I'll join you soon," she said, checking her communicator. "I need to get a report from the outer defenses." Before he could argue, the Queen's voice came through the speakers. "Alira, come to the throne chamber immediately." Her tone was calm, but there was an edge of urgency Ryan hadn't heard before. Alira looked at him. "Stay here. Promise me you won't leave." Ryan gave a small nod. "Just don't die out there." She smirked faintly. "I'm too stubborn for that." Then she was gone. Ryan sat down in the shelter, trying to make sense of it all. How could aliens from another galaxy know something about his blood? He was just a mechanic from Earth, a normal guy who'd crashed on an alien world. He glanced at his arm, where faint blue lines glowed beneath the skin. They'd appeared a few days ago after he was injured in battle, but he'd told no one. At first, he thought it was just some alien medicine reacting strangely. Now he wasn't so sure. The shelter lights flickered again. Then a voice echoed from behind him. "You should have told them, human." Ryan spun around, his pulse racing. A shadow stepped out of the corner, a tall figure in dark armor, his eyes glowing crimson. "How the hell did you get in here?" Ryan demanded. The stranger didn't answer. He raised a small orb that shimmered with strange symbols. "You carry our legacy, whether you know it or not. The Vorn blood is in you." Ryan frowned. "That's impossible. I'm human." The figure's eyes glowed brighter. "Your kind were never purely human. Long ago, our ancestors fled your system, leaving traces of our essence in the species you became. You are one of the few left with a dormant gene." Ryan shook his head. "No, you're lying." The figure smiled coldly, then explained the glow beneath your skin. Ryan instinctively looked at his arm. Those faint blue lines were now burning bright. He felt heat spreading through his chest, pulsing with energy. "What's happening to me?" he gasped. The intruder stepped closer. "The signal from our fleet awakened it. You were never meant to exist here. Come with us, and we'll teach you what you truly are." Before Ryan could answer, a flash of light filled the room. A blast of plasma struck the invader, throwing him against the wall. Alyra stood in the doorway, her weapon smoking. "Get away from him." The intruder hissed, clutching his wound. "You cannot hide him, princess. The blood in him will call to us. The awakening has begun." Then he vanished in a shimmer of black light. Ryan fell to his knees, breathing hard. What the hell was that? Alyra ran to him. "I don't know, but you're hurt." He looked down. His hands were shaking. The blue light under his skin pulsed with every heartbeat. He said, "I'm part of them." Alyra's face tightened. "Don't listen to him. They're trying to confuse you." "But what if it's true?" Ryan said, "What if I'm the reason they're attacking?" For a moment, she couldn't answer. Her eyes softened. "Then we'll deal with it together." Ryan looked at her, searching for any sign of doubt, but there was none. Before he could speak, the Queen's voice returned over the communicator. "Alyra, bring the human to me. Now!" They made their way back through the tunnels. The sound of battle grew, louder the closer they got to the surface. When they entered the throne chamber, the Queen stood waiting, surrounded by glowing orbs of data and holographic maps. Her expression was grim. "I've analyzed the readings from his injuries," she said. "The invaders were right. There's foreign DNA inside him, ancient and powerful." Ryan stepped forward. "So what does that mean?" "It means," the Queen said, "you may be the only one who can stop them." Alyra frowned. "How?" The Queen gestured toward the sky display. "Their technology runs on the same energy that flows in his veins. If we can amplify it, we might disrupt their fleet." Ryan's voice shook. "You want to use me as a weapon?" The Queen met his eyes. "I want to save my people. The choice is yours, human." Alyra looked at him, her expression torn. "Ryan, you don't have to do this." He took a deep breath. "If it's the only way to stop them, then I do." The Queen nodded once. "Then prepare yourself. When the sun rises, we fight back." That night, as the fires dimmed and the city slept under the threat of another attack, Ryan sat on the palace balcony beside Alyra. The stars shimmered above the smoke, cold and silent. "Do you think I'll survive this?" he asked quietly. Alyra didn't answer right away. Then she said, "You survived falling from the sky, winning me in combat, and saving my people. I think fate isn't done with you yet." Ryan smiled faintly. "If I die tomorrow, at least I'll die fighting for something that matters." Alyra turned to him, her eyes glowing softly. "If you die tomorrow," she whispered, "I'll make sure the stars remember your name." Morning came slowly to Thalkai. The twin suns rose above the horizon, spreading gold and crimson light over the ruined city. Smoke still drifted from the shattered towers, but the air felt different, calm, waiting, heavy with fate. Ryan stood on the balcony, his body wrapped in light armor. The blue glow beneath his skin pulsed like a heartbeat. He didn't feel human anymore, not fully. Power hummed through him, whispering that something greater waited inside. Behind him, Alira walked up quietly. Her armor shimmered silver in the sunlight. "You should rest," she said softly. "You barely slept." Ryan smiled weakly. "Couldn't. Kinda hard to sleep when you might explode tomorrow." She gave a faint laugh, though her eyes betrayed worry. "You'll live. You have to." He looked at her. "You sound sure." "I am." She hesitated, then added, "Because I believe the stars wouldn't bring you here just to take you away again." Minutes later, the Queen appeared, followed by generals and scientists. The throne room had been turned into a war command center. Holographic maps hovered above the floor, showing thousands of red enemy signals approaching the capital. The Queen's tone was calm but urgent. "The Vorn fleet will be within range in 1 hour. Our defenses will not hold unless the human succeeds." Ryan nodded. "Just tell me what I have to do." The lead scientist, a tall alien with crystal blue eyes, approached with a strange device shaped like a harness. "This will channel the energy in your blood into a pulse. If it works, it could disable their ships, but the strain could kill you." Ryan looked at the device, then at Alira. "Guess we're really doing this." She stepped closer, resting a hand on his shoulder. "If you die, I'll kill you again for making me care this much." He laughed softly. "I'll do my best not to disappoint." Soon, the battlefield stretched before him, a wide plain of cracked stone leading to the burning sky. Hundreds of alien soldiers stood ready behind energy shields. The air trembled as the enemy fleet descended. Ryan walked alone to the front line. The device on his chest began to glow, threads of light crawling over his skin. Alira's voice came through the communicator. "Ryan, do you hear me?" "Loud and clear," he said. "Don't forget," she whispered. "You're not fighting alone." Then the sky opened. The Vorn ships poured down like black stars. Energy beams rained from the heavens, shaking the ground. Thalkai's soldiers fired back, blue plasma streaking across the battlefield. Ryan felt the energy inside him responding, his heart pounding like thunder. The harness glowed brighter, almost blinding. "Now!" the Queen's voice shouted. Ryan raised his hands toward the sky. The light exploded outward, a massive wave of blue fire. It spread across the clouds, swallowing enemy ships one by one. The sound was deafening, like a storm tearing the sky apart. The Vorn fleet began to fall, their systems shutting down mid-flight. Flames streaked across the horizon as burning ships crashed into the mountains. But the power didn't stop. The energy inside Ryan kept growing, spiraling out of control. He screamed, falling to his knees. "I can't hold it." Alira was already running toward him, ignoring the chaos. She reached him just as the energy flared again, wrapping them both in light. "Ryan, listen to me," she shouted. "You can control it. It's part of you." He looked up at her through the blinding glow. "Then help me." Alira pressed her hand to his chest. "I'm right here." Her touch steadied him. Slowly, the wild storm inside began to calm. The light shrank inward, becoming pure and stable, not destruction, but balance. With one final surge, Ryan released control pulse that spread across the battlefield like dawn. The last of the enemy ships shut down and fell silent. Then everything went still. When the light faded, Ryan collapsed into Alira's arms. Smoke drifted over the ruins, but the sky was finally clear. He blinked up at her, exhausted but alive. "Did we win?" Alira smiled through tears. "You did." She looked at the horizon where the twin suns now shone brighter than ever. Around them, soldiers cheered and the Queen's voice echoed through the city. "The human has saved Thalkai." Ryan tried to sit up, but couldn't. His body felt heavy, drained. "Guess I'm not dead after all." Alira brushed a strand of hair from his face. "Not today, hero." He grinned faintly. "Does this mean the princess keeps her promise?" She blinked. "What promise?" He raised an eyebrow. If I win, you be my wife forever. Aelira froze, then laughed softly, shaking her head. You remember that? How could I forget? She leaned closer, her expression tender. Then I suppose I should honor it. Before he could reply, she kissed him, gentle, warm, filled with everything words couldn't say. The wind swept around them, carrying the scent of victory and the first peace the planet had known in centuries. Later, as night fell and the stars shone over the repaired city, the queen addressed her people. Let it be known, she declared, that the human who came in the sky brought not war but hope. He fought not as an invader, but as one of us. The crowd cheered, their voices echoing to the silver towers. And among them stood Ryan and Aelira, side by side, their hands intertwined, looking up at the twin suns that had witnessed their battle, their love, and their shared destiny. Ryan whispered, "So what now?" Aelira smiled. "Now we rebuild. Together,